The fighting pits of Zalthor Station attracted the worst of the galaxy, slavers, smugglers, and those who bet on blood. In the humid darkness beneath the station's entertainment district, creatures from 100 worlds gathered to watch death matches between captured beings. Tonight they had something special. A human female. Akira stood in the center of the pit, her breathing steady despite the roar of the crowd above. Blood dried on her knuckles from the previous fight. They'd taken her from a colony ship 3 weeks ago, thrown her into this nightmare of steel and violence. The Zalthorian guards had laughed when she'd fought back during capture. They'd stopped laughing after she'd broken one's mandibles. Place your bets. The announcer's voice boomed through translators. The Deathworlder female versus Crag the Render. Undefeated in 47 matches. The gate opposite Akira groaned open. Crag emerged. A massive Gorthian, 8 feet of muscle and rage, covered in chitinous armor that had evolved on a heavy gravity world. 4 arms, each ending in claws that could tear through steel. The crowd went insane. Akira rolled her shoulders. She'd seen Crag fight before, watched him dismember opponents with mechanical efficiency. But Gorthians, for all their strength, had evolved as ambush predators. Humans. Humans were persistence hunters. Humans were pack hunters. And humans remembered. The bell rang. Crag charged with surprising speed, all 4 arms spread wide to grab and crush. Akira didn't retreat. She moved forward inside his reach, dropping low. Her elbow drove upward into the soft joint where his lower left arm connected to his torso. The crack echoed through the pit. The crowd's roar changed tone, surprise mixed with excitement. Crag bellowed, swinging his remaining arms in wide arcs. Akira was already moving, her body flowing through the combinations that humanity had refined through millennia of warfare. Strike, evade, strike again. Never stop moving. Never give ground unless it's tactical. Impossible, someone shouted in the crowd. She's from a death world, but she's small. Crag should... Akira's kick caught Crag in the knee. Not the armored front, but the vulnerable side. Another crack. The Gorthian stumbled, his evolutionary armor useless against an opponent who'd learned to find weaknesses, who'd evolved to outlast, to adapt, to kill efficiently. In the VIP section, James watched through the protective barrier. His hands pressed against the plexiglass so hard his knuckles were white. They'd captured him too, but he'd been too valuable to fight. A human engineer was worth more as a slave than as entertainment. They'd forced him to watch Akira's matches, thinking it would break her spirit to have a fellow human witness her degradation. They'd miscalculated. She's magnificent, James whispered. Not because she was winning, though she was, but because she represented something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans didn't just survive death worlds. They thrived on them. They evolved with them. And when you backed a human into a corner, you didn't see weakness. You saw why Earth had birthed the galaxy's most dangerous predator. Akira circled Crag, her green eyes calculating. The Gorthian was wounded but not finished. His species had armor, had strength, had natural weapons. But Akira had something more fundamental. She had endurance. Her cardiovascular system, designed to chase prey across savannas until it collapsed from exhaustion. Her sweat glands able to regulate temperature far better than most species. Her brain capable of reading an opponent's patterns and adapting in real time. Crag lunged again, desperation in his movements. Akira sidestepped, her hand shooting out to grab his damaged arm. She twisted, using his own momentum, and the joint separated completely with a wet sound that silenced the crowd. The Gorthian roared, but it was pain now, not rage. He swung wildly with his remaining arms. Akira ducked under one swing, jumped over another, and drove her fist into his throat, the one spot where his armor didn't cover, where all species needed vulnerability for breathing and eating. Crag went down. The crowd erupted. But it wasn't celebration. It was shock, fear, a primal recognition. They'd wanted entertainment. They'd wanted to see a young human woman get torn apart by their champion. Instead, they'd witnessed something that would ripple through the station's underworld like a shockwave. They'd seen a human fight, not with honor or sport in mind, but with the cold, calculated efficiency of an apex predator that had climbed to the top of Earth's food chain through sheer determination and the willingness to adapt, to endure, to outlast anything else. Akira stood over Crag's unconscious form, her chest heaving, blood, not all of it hers, splattered across her torn clothes. She looked up at the crowd, then at the VIP section where James stood. Their eyes met. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The station master, a bloated Quellan crime lord, leaned forward in his private box. His translator crackled. "Bring me more humans. If one female can do this, imagine what we could—" "No," his advisor, a scarred Vraxian veteran, interrupted. "You don't understand. We need to release them now before what?" The Vraxian pointed at James, who was no longer watching Akira. He was watching the guards, counting them, measuring distances, his engineer's mind clearly calculating something. "Before they start working together, humans are pack hunters, Master. We've separated them, controlled them individually, but you've just shown them both that they're stronger than we thought. You've given them hope, and hope makes humans dangerous." In the pit, Akira raised her hand, not in victory but in acknowledgement. To James, to the only other human on this forsaken station. The gesture was small, almost imperceptible, but James understood. He nodded once, then turned and walked away from the barrier, his mind already working on schematics, weaknesses, escape routes. The galaxy had forgotten why humanity's homeworld was classified as a Class 12 death world. They'd forgotten why the early contact reports had recommended quarantine rather than integration. They'd seen humans in suits at diplomatic tables, working as engineers and scientists. They'd forgotten that those same humans had evolved in a crucible of predators, disasters, and competition so fierce that survival itself was an achievement. Akira left the pit to thunderous silence. And somewhere on Zalthor Station, two humans began to plan. The galaxy was about to remember why you didn't cage a Deathworlder. You especially didn't cage two of them together, because humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to teach you never to try again.